My beloved child, stop for a moment and listen to me now, not tomorrow, not when your schedule becomes lighter, not when every question has been answered. Right now, with the thoughts moving through your mind, with the weariness you carry, and with the part of your heart that is not sure what to expect, I am asking you to become still. Not because I want to frighten you, not because one distracted moment will make me withdraw from you. I am asking because your soul has been surrounded by noise for too long, and some truths can only be received when you stop rushing past yourself. My beloved child, I know how quickly you move from one concern to the next. You finish one responsibility and remember another. You answer one message while thinking about the conversation you still need to have. Even when your body rests, your mind continues walking through possibilities, fears, plans, and unfinished questions. You have become so used to carrying pressure that quiet can feel uncomfortable. But remain here with me. Take one breath. Let your shoulders loosen. You do not need to perform for me in this moment. You only need to listen. My beloved child, what I speak is not meant to become a brief feeling that disappears as soon as the video ends. My word is meant to lead you toward truth, wisdom, repentance, courage, and peace. The prophet wrote that my word is like rain that waters thicket to earth and helps seed produce life. It does not return without purpose. That does not mean every sentence you hear. You must test what you receive. Bring it into prayer. Compare it with Scripture. Examine whether it reflects my character. Notice whether it produces humility, responsibility, love, and honest faith. Truth will not require you to abandon wisdom. My beloved child, I am not asking you to believe something merely because it sounds powerful. I am asking you to remember who I am. I do not speak carelessly. I do not offer love one day and remove it the next because you became tired. I do not forget the person I called simply because the road became complicated. My faithfulness is not controlled by the changing weather of your emotions. There were days when you felt close to me. There were other days when prayer felt dry and my presence seemed far away. Your feelings changed. My attention did not. My beloved child, you have wondered whether you missed the right moment. You have looked at your past and imagined a door closing because you hesitated, failed, doubted, or became distracted. You have watched other people move forward and quietly asked whether your own time had passed. That fear has become louder during tired nights. It has told you that you should have understood more by now. It has told you that your mistakes have become stronger than grace. Listen carefully. Your story is not finished because one season did not unfold as you expected. Your calling is not measured by another person's timeline. Your value has not been reduced by delay. My beloved child, I knew the whole road when I first drew you near. I knew where you would walk confidently. I knew where fear would slow you. I knew which lessons would take longer because old wounds were involved. I knew the questions you would be afraid to ask. Nothing you discovered about your weakness was new information to me. I did not begin loving an imaginary version of you. I loved the real person. The person who would grow, the person who would stumble, the person who would sometimes hide, then slowly return. My beloved child, this is why you do not need to protect an image before me. Come with the truth. If you are tired, say you are tired. If you are disappointed, say you are disappointed. If you are confused, bring the confusion. If you are afraid that hope will hurt again, tell me. Honesty does not insult me. It opens the place where relationship can become real. The Psalms are filled with people who brought me questions, grief, fear, praise, and trust in the same prayer. They did not wait until every feeling became peaceful. They turned toward me from where they were. You can do the same. My beloved child, stop measuring this moment by whether something dramatic happens immediately. You may not see a door open today. You may not receive every answer tonight. You may not feel different before these words end. But attention can still become the beginning of change. A person begins healing when they finally notice what has been ignored. A pattern begins losing power when it is honestly named. A relationship with me deepens when performance gives way to presence. That is why this pause matters. You are allowing truth to reach places that busyness has kept covered. My beloved child, I want you to listen without panic and without demanding certainty about the future. Listen with humility. Listen with discernment. Listen with the willingness to take one faithful step if truth becomes clear. You do not need the whole map. You need enough light for the next responsible choice. When I called Abraham, he did not receive every detail before he moved. When I met Elijah in exhaustion, I did not shame him for needing rest. When Thomas struggled to believe, I did not cast him away for asking to see. I met people inside their real condition, and I still do. My beloved child, perhaps this message has reached you during a season when you feel unusually restless. Do not automatically call every restlessness a sign from me. Sometimes anxiety needs care. Sometimes exhaustion needs rest. Sometimes a difficult decision needs wise counsel. But sometimes discomfort reveals that an old way of living no longer fits the truth you are learning. Ask me for discernment. What needs healing? What needs release? What responsibility have you delayed? What belief about yourself must be examined? My beloved child, this is the beginning, not a demand that you become perfect today. An invitation to stop running long enough to hear what love has been saying beneath the noise. You are known. You are not beyond grace. Your life still deserves truth, care, and faithful attention. Stay with me. In the next part, I will speak to the fear that has told you the promise was lost, the moment was missed, and your mistakes had the power to erase what grace began. My beloved child, I told you that I would speak to the fear saying you lost the promise. That fear has repeated itself. It has said you waited too long. It has said you made one mistake too many. It has said another person moved ahead because they were more faithful, more disciplined, or more deserving. It has told you that the door closed because you hesitated. It has told you that I changed my mind. Listen to me. You did not lose my love. You did not lose your belonging because you struggled. You did not become invisible because your progress was slower than expected. My beloved child, there are choices that carry consequences. There are opportunities that may pass. There are relationships that change and moments when wisdom asks you to act before a window closes. I will not teach you to deny responsibility. But one missed opportunity is not the same as a ruined life. One wrong decision is not the same as the end of purpose. One delayed response does not place you beyond redemption. Grace can meet you inside consequences and still lead you toward a faithful future. My beloved child, you have been trying to calculate whether you still deserve what you once hoped for. You review your past like an accountant examining a debt. You count every season of doubt. You count every prayer you neglected. You count the promises you made and did not keep. Then you compare those failures with the future you desire and conclude that you no longer qualify. But relationship with me is not built on that calculation. My faithfulness is not a prize handed to the person with the cleanest record. My presence is not earned by spiritual perfection. My beloved child, remember Abraham. He received a promise, yet his journey included fear, impatience, and decisions that created pain. His weakness did not become wisdom simply because he was called. He still needed correction, growth, and trust, but his failures did not erase every purpose connected to his life. I remained faithful while teaching him how to become more faithful. This is not permission to repeat what harms you. It is assurance that failure can become instruction instead of a final sentence. My beloved child, some promises in Scripture belong to every person who comes to me. I promise to receive those who turn toward me. I promise wisdom to those who ask with humility. I promise that nothing can separate you from my love. I promise to remain present through trouble. These truths do not depend on a specific job relationship, amount of money, or date on a calendar. They are deeper than circumstance. They are anchors for the seasons when circumstances do not make sense. My beloved child, other desires must be held with open hands. You may want a certain door to open. You may believe a particular relationship is meant to continue. You may feel certain that one plan must be the way forward. Bring those hopes to me, but do not turn your preferred outcome into a promise I never made. Trust does not force my name onto every desire. Trust says, this is what I hope for, but lead me in truth, even if the path looks different. My beloved child, this protects your faith from collapsing when one expectation changes. You did not lose me because one plan ended. You did not lose purpose because one person left. You did not lose your future because the answer arrived differently than you imagined. Sometimes the thing you feared was lost was only changing form. Sometimes the lesson remained after the opportunity ended. Sometimes the courage developed during the wait became more valuable than the outcome you requested. Sometimes a closed road made you notice another responsibility already in your hands. My beloved child, shame wants you to believe that your worst moment is the truest thing about you. It says, "You failed, therefore you are a failure. You doubted, therefore you have no faith. You became tired, therefore you are unworthy of calling." But shame speaks without mercy and without context. I see the whole story. I see what led to the decision. I see where fear was controlling you. I see where you need accountability. I also see the desire to return. My beloved child, the desire to return matters. Peter denied knowing me when fear became stronger than courage. He did not lose all purpose in that moment. He wept. He returned. He allowed love to confront him. Later, he was entrusted with responsibility, not because denial was unimportant, but because grace restored what shame wanted to bury. Your return can also become the beginning of restoration. My beloved child, stop asking whether you can rewrite the past. You cannot. Ask what truth requires today. Do you need to apologize? Do you need to make restitution? Do you need to accept that a consequence cannot be avoided? Do you need to release an outcome and begin again? A promise is not honored by pretending nothing happened. It is honored when grace makes you brave enough to face what happened and walk differently. My beloved child, you have also feared that delay meant disqualification. You watched time pass. You noticed your age, your unfinished goals, and the difference between where you expected to be and where you are. You called yourself late. But human timelines do not understand every burden you carried. They do not know the healing you needed. They do not know the responsibilities that slowed you. They do not know the ways fear, grief, or survival affected your pace. I am not embarrassed by your timeline. My beloved child, slow growth can still become strong growth. Moses spent years outside the place where he expected purpose to unfold. Joseph lived through long seasons when the dream seemed contradicted by reality. Their waiting was not identical, and yours will not copy theirs. But their stories remind you that hidden years do not automatically mean abandoned purpose. Use the present faithfully. Do not turn waiting into passivity. Learn, prepare, serve, rest when needed. Take the responsibility available now. My beloved child, I am not telling you that every dream will happen exactly as you first imagined. I am telling you that your life remains open to grace. There is still truth to follow. There is still love to receive and give. There is still character to form. There is still work to do. Your future is not empty, simply because one picture of it changed. My beloved child, let this settle deeper than fear. You did not lose the promise of my presence. You did not lose the invitation to return. You did not lose the possibility of becoming wiser, freer, and more faithful. You did not erase my knowledge of you by discovering your own weakness. I knew the whole person when I drew you near, and that is where the next part begins. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you that grace did not choose a polished version, a future version, or only the strongest parts of you. Grace chose the whole you. My beloved child, I told you that grace did not choose a polished version of you. It did not wait for a future version. It did not choose only the days when your faith was strong, your words were clear, and your decisions were wise. Grace chose the whole you. The hopeful parts, the frightened parts, the parts that wanted to obey, and the parts that still resisted change. My beloved child, I knew all of it before you knew yourself this deeply. I knew where confidence would come easily. I knew where old wounds would make trust difficult. I knew which temptations would return when you felt lonely. I knew which memories would make you question whether you were still lovable. Nothing about your weakness surprised me. I did not discover your struggle and regret drawing you near. My beloved child, you have often loved yourself conditionally. You accepted yourself when you were productive. You felt valuable when others needed you. You felt worthy when you prayed consistently, helped someone, or made progress. Then one difficult week arrived. You became tired. You reacted poorly. You neglected what mattered. And immediately, you began speaking to yourself as though every good thing had been erased. But grace does not erase your responsibility, and it does not erase your belonging. Both can remain true. You can need correction and still be loved. You can face consequences and still be invited to return. You can be unfinished and still be held. My beloved child, when I called Peter, I already knew the courage he would show and the fear that would later make him deny me. I knew his confidence could become pride. I knew he would speak before understanding. I also knew he would weep return and learn how to strengthen others with greater humility. I did not choose an imaginary Peter. I chose the real man and committed myself to the work of forming him. My beloved child, I deal with you in the same way. I am not excusing what needs to change. Love that refuses truth is not love, but truth without mercy can crush the person it was meant to restore. So I bring both. I show you the pattern. I name the wound. I confront the harm. Then I remain near enough for healing to begin. My beloved child, shame has told you that if people knew everything, they would leave. So you learned to manage what others could see. You showed strength while hiding exhaustion. You gave answers while carrying questions. You helped others while quietly wondering whether anyone would help you. Perhaps that protection was understandable, but constantly performing creates distance. People can only love the version you allow them to know. And you began to fear that even my love depended on the same performance. It does not. My beloved child, I already see beneath the careful words. I know when your praise is honest and when it is covering disappointment. I know when your silence is peaceful and when it is filled with resentment. I know when your service flows from love and when it comes from fear of being rejected. You do not have to hide these things from me. Bring them into the light, not so I can humiliate you, so we can tell the truth about what is driving you. My beloved child, grace chose your capacity and your need. It saw the gifts in you. It also saw where those gifts could become unhealthy without character. Your compassion could become self-abandonment. Your loyalty could keep you in places where truth was ignored. Your strength could make you believe you never needed support. Your desire to help could become a way of avoiding your own pain. Grace did not reject the gift because it needed guidance. Grace began teaching you how to carry it wisely. My beloved child, this is why growth has sometimes felt like loss within your heart. My beloved child, grace does not make you less human. It restores your humanity. It gives you permission to grieve without calling grief unbelief. It allows you to admit fear without making fear your leader. It teaches you to receive help without treating need as shame. It invites you to become responsible without believing your worth must be earned. My beloved child, perhaps you have thought that being chosen meant you should be above ordinary weakness. You expected yourself to recover faster. You expected temptation to disappear. You expected faith to make every decision clear. Then your humanity disappointed you. But being called does not remove the process of becoming mature. A seed carries the design of a tree, yet it still requires soil, water, light, and time. The design is present. The growth is still necessary. My beloved child, do not despise the process simply because the promise of growth was present from the beginning. Grace gives you a new foundation. Then you learn to build upon it. You practice honesty. You repair what you damaged. You set boundaries where fear once controlled you. You forgive without pretending. Trust can be restored overnight. You return to prayer after distraction. You begin again when an old pattern reappears. These actions do not purchase grace. They are what grace begins producing when it is received. My beloved child, I chose you knowing you would need patience. I knew some lessons would return in different forms. I knew healing would not move in a straight line. I knew there would be days when you felt changed, and days when you questioned whether anything had happened. I did not choose you because your journey would be easy to manage. I chose you from love, and love is willing to remain present through a real process. My beloved child, let this free you from pretending. You do not need to speak like someone who never doubts. You do not need to serve like someone who never tires. You do not need to act like someone who has no history. Bring me your real obedience, not an impressive performance. Bring me the honest yes that trembles. Bring me the prayer that begins with confusion. Bring me the apology that costs your pride. Bring me the small act of faithfulness no one notices. My beloved child, grace chose the whole you, but grace also loves you too deeply to leave every part unchanged. It will comfort what is wounded. It will confront what is destructive. It will strengthen what is weak. It will refine what is gifted. It will teach you to live from belonging instead of striving for it. And this is how you can understand the hope that remained alive in you. After every mistake, some part of you still wanted to return. After every disappointment, some part of you still believed truth mattered. After every season of silence, some part of you still listened. That hope did not make you flawless. It showed that grace was still working. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how the hope that kept reaching forward revealed that you were still chosen, still being formed, and still invited to walk with me. My beloved child, I told you that the hope still reaching forward revealed something important. Grace was still working. Even after disappointment, you still wanted truth. Even after failure, you still wanted to return. Even after silence, some part of you kept listening for my voice. That hope did not prove that you never struggled. It proved that struggle had not taken everything. My beloved child, you have mistaken hope for weakness. You told yourself that expecting anything good was dangerous. You said you no longer cared, but deep within you there remained a desire for healing, clarity, love, and purpose. You could not silence it. That small flame mattered. My beloved child, hope is not pretending that everything will unfold exactly as you want. It is not denying grief. It is not calling every closed door a hidden blessing. Hope is the decision to believe that pain does not have the final authority over who you become. It is the willingness to take another honest step even when the whole road is not visible. It is returning to prayer without demanding an immediate answer. It is choosing not to let disappointment make every future possibility look empty. My beloved child, the prophet once described a bruised reed that would not be broken and a dimly burning wick that would not be extinguished. You have felt like that wick, not blazing, not impressive, barely holding light. Yet I did not despise the small flame. I guarded what remained. I met you in the weak prayer, the unfinished sentence, the trembling decision to try again. You thought faith only counted when it felt strong. I saw faith in the moment you whispered, "Help me," because you had no larger words. My beloved child, there were nights when you believed hope had left you. You lay awake rehearsing what had gone wrong. You imagined every future ending in the same disappointment. You wondered whether trusting again would only make you easier to hurt. But morning came and somehow you rose. You completed one responsibility. You answered one kind message. You made food. You went to work. You checked on someone else. My beloved child, staying alive to ordinary responsibility can be a form of hope. But when pain tells you that nothing matters, caring for one small thing becomes resistance. Washing a cup, opening the curtains, keeping an appointment, speaking honestly with a trusted person, returning to a healthy routine. They are signs that some part of you still believes tomorrow deserves preparation. My beloved child, do not shame yourself because your hope sometimes depended on another person's support. I often care for people through people. A friend who listened, a counselor who helped you name the wound, a family member who reminded you to rest, a pastor who spoke with humility, a stranger whose kindness interrupted a dark conclusion. Receiving help did not make your hope less real. It showed that you were willing to remain connected when isolation would have made the pain louder. My beloved child, Elijah once reached a place of deep exhaustion and believed he had nothing left to give. I did not begin by demanding a speech from him. I gave him rest, food, and time. Then I spoke gently. His story reminds you that hope may need care before it can speak clearly. Sometimes the next faithful step is not greater effort. Sometimes it is sleep. Sometimes it is nourishment. Sometimes it is allowing another person to sit beside you until your thoughts become less severe. My beloved child, your hope also appeared when you refused to let bitterness become your permanent language. You felt anger. You had reasons to feel hurt. There were people whose choices caused real damage. Hope did not require you to pretend otherwise, but something within you resisted becoming cruel. You wanted boundaries without hatred. You wanted justice without losing compassion. You wanted freedom without spending the rest of your life proving someone wrong. That desire showed that the wound had not rewritten your entire character. My beloved child, there were moments when hope looked like releasing the outcome. You prayed for one person to change, but you stopped building your life around their decision. You wanted one opportunity, but you continued developing your gifts when it did not open. You hoped for an explanation, but you began healing without receiving every answer. This was not giving up. It was learning that hope can remain alive without controlling the form of the future. You placed your desire in open hands and asked me to lead you toward what was true. My beloved child, you have sometimes confused being chosen with being protected from every hardship. You thought calling should make the road clearer. You thought faithfulness should prevent loss. Then struggle made you question everything. But being chosen does not mean being spared from ordinary human pain. It means you are invited to walk with me through it. It means your wounds do not have to become your identity. It means suffering can be met with truth, support, wisdom, and grace. It means you are never required to carry every burden alone. My beloved child, your hope did not earn my love. It did not purchase your place. It did not make you better than the person who feels numb today. Grace came first. Hope was one of the ways grace continued moving within you. Like roots growing beneath winter soil, much of that movement remained hidden. Above the ground, nothing seemed to change. Below it, your heart was learning endurance, honesty, patience, and discernment. You were not always becoming louder. You were becoming deeper. My beloved child, this is why I do not want you to dismiss the part of you that still reaches toward life. Protect it. Feed it with truth. Give it healthy community. Let Scripture steady it. Let rest restore it. Let wise action strengthen it. Do not feed it with fantasies that require one exact outcome. Hope becomes stronger when it is rooted in my character rather than in a timeline you cannot control. My beloved child, perhaps your hope feels very small today. Do not force it to become a fire before it is ready. Bring me the ember. Bring me the question. Bring me the part of you that wants to believe but is afraid of disappointment. I am not ashamed of fragile faith. I can meet you there. You do not need to create certainty. You need only remain honest and willing to take the next faithful step. My beloved child, the fact that you are still listening matters. The fact that you still care about truth matters. The fact that you still want healing matters. You are still being formed. You are still invited. You are still held within grace. And now you are ready to understand why the seasons that tested this hope carried so much weight. In the next part, my beloved child, I will speak about the battles that pressed against you, the nights that left you exhausted, and the ways those experiences may have developed strength, compassion, and wisdom without becoming proof that I desired your pain. My beloved child, I told you that the battles pressing against you carried more weight than you understood. They tested your hope. They brought you face to face with questions you could not answer quickly. There were nights when your body was tired, but your mind would not rest. There were mornings when you rose carrying a heaviness no one else could see. You kept moving through responsibilities while quietly wondering how long the pressure would last. My beloved child, I saw those moments. I saw the conversation you replayed after everyone else had moved on. I saw the disappointment you tried to hide so another person would not worry. I saw the prayer that began with confidence and ended with silence because you had no more words. I did not turn away from you. I did not call your exhaustion a lack of faith. I did not measure your love for me by how strong you sounded while you were hurting. My beloved child, hear this carefully. I am not telling you that every wound was designed by me. I did not need betrayal, injustice, neglect, or cruelty in order to love you or call you. People make choices. Broken systems cause harm. Life, in a wounded world, includes losses I do not ask you to celebrate. But what wounded you does not have to be wasted. I can meet you inside what happened and help you develop what pain alone could never produce. My beloved child, the battle did not automatically make you better. Pain can harden a heart when it is carried without truth, support, or healing. But you kept bringing pieces of the struggle into the light, sometimes slowly, sometimes reluctantly. You asked questions. You received correction. You allowed someone trustworthy to help you. You began learning the difference between endurance and silent self-abandonment. That is where development began. My beloved child, strength was not formed because you never felt weak. It was formed because weakness no longer had to be hidden. You learned to admit when you needed rest. You learned that asking for help was not failure. You learned that courage can sound like saying, "I cannot carry this alone." You learned that faith can include tears, questions, and the decision to remain honest. That kind of strength is quieter than performance, but it lasts longer. My beloved child, consider David before he became known as a king. There were long seasons when the promise over his life did not match his circumstances. He experienced danger, uncertainty, and the temptation to force an outcome. Yet there were moments when he refused to become the kind of person his suffering invited him to become. He chose restraint when revenge looked available. He learned to wait without making every delay an excuse for disobedience. His struggle did not earn my love, but it revealed where his character still needed formation. My beloved child, your battles have also shown you what lives beneath the surface. Pressure revealed where fear controlled your decisions. Conflict revealed whether you listened or only defended yourself. Delay revealed how quickly you confused waiting with rejection. Loneliness revealed which kinds of attention could tempt you to accept less than truth. Exhaustion revealed the habits you used when you wanted relief without reflection. These discoveries were uncomfortable, but they gave you information. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. My beloved child, some of the wisdom you carry now came through situations you never would have chosen. You understand disappointment differently because you have lived through it. You recognize the tired smile because you once wore it. You hear fear beneath another person's anger because you have seen fear disguise itself inside you. You are slower to judge certain struggles because experience taught you that people can look composed while carrying a private weight. My beloved child, compassion does not mean allowing harmful behavior. You can understand a person's wound and still set a boundary. You can forgive and still require changed behavior before trust is rebuilt. You can pray for someone and still step away from a pattern that repeatedly damages your peace. The battle taught you that softness without wisdom becomes vulnerability to repeated harm. It also taught you that wisdom without softness can turn into coldness. You are learning to carry both. My beloved child, yo. You stopped confusing urgency with importance. You learned to watch patterns. You learned that healthy fruit grows through consistency. This patience helped you avoid decisions made only to escape discomfort. It gave your emotions time to settle and your judgment time to return. My beloved child, you also learned that rest is part of endurance. For too long you thought staying strong meant never stopping. You believed every pause would cause everything to collapse. But constant survival can distort your thinking. A tired mind turns small problems into final conclusions. A neglected body makes ordinary responsibilities feel impossible. So I began teaching you another rhythm: work and rest, speak and listen, give and receive, carry responsibility and admit limits. Even Jesus withdrew from crowds to pray and rest. My beloved child, there were days when you thought the battle had erased your progress. An old reaction returned. A familiar fear became loud. You became discouraged because you expected growth to make you immune to struggle. But maturity is not the absence of old feelings. It is the growing ability to recognize them sooner and respond more wisely. The feeling may return. The pattern does not have to rule. The wound may ache. It does not have to choose your next step. My beloved child, do not romanticize what hurt you. You do not need to call every loss beautiful. You do not need to thank people for mistreating you. You do not need to pretend that suffering was the only way you could learn. Grieve what should not have happened. Name what was wrong. Seek support where healing is still needed. Then notice what grace has formed despite the wound. Not because the pain was good, because pain was not powerful enough to prevent growth. My beloved child, you are more aware now, more honest, more able to recognize when your body needs rest and when your heart needs truth. You are learning to remain tender without being naive. You are learning to remain hopeful without demanding one outcome. You are learning to stand without pretending you never tremble. The battle did not make you worthy. Grace already called you worthy of love, but the battle revealed capacity that still needed strengthening. And now, my beloved child, you are ready to understand the next layer. The pressure did not only reveal what was inside you. Through patient healing, wise correction, and faithful practice, your inner life was being shaped to carry more. In the next part, I will show you how the potter was expanding your capacity without treating you as something disposable or breaking you for the sake of a lesson. My beloved child, I told you that your inner life was being shaped to carry more. You are not a disposable object in my hands. You are not clay to be crushed. You are not valuable only when you become useful. When Scripture speaks of the potter and the clay, it is not giving permission to call every wound my design. It is showing you that I remain present in the process of forming what is still unfinished. My beloved child, a wise potter does not strike the clay carelessly. The hands remain attentive. Pressure is measured. Water is added when the material becomes dry. Time is given when the shape needs to settle. If the vessel leans, the potter does not hate the clay. The potter slows down, supports the weak side, and begins again with patience. This is closer to how I work within you. My beloved child, there were places inside you that had become rigid, not because you were rebellious, but because pain taught you to protect yourself. You learned to expect disappointment. You learned to hide need. You learned to stay useful so no one would ask whether you were hurting. Those defenses once helped you survive, but what protects you in one season can limit you in another. A wall that keeps danger out can also keep love from entering. So I began softening what fear had hardened. My beloved child, softening did not always feel safe. You mistook tenderness for losing control. You thought that if you allowed yourself to feel grief, it would swallow you. You believed that if you admitted loneliness, you would become dependent. You feared that receiving help would make you weak, but healing required room. Like water returning to dry clay, honesty made movement possible again. You began naming what hurt. You began admitting what you could not carry alone. You began allowing trusted people to see beyond the strong face. My beloved child, this was not the destruction of your strength. It was the expansion of it. Strength became more than endurance. It became flexibility. It became the ability to listen without immediately defending yourself. It became the courage to change your mind when truth became clearer. It became the wisdom to rest before exhaustion turned into resentment. A vessel that cannot bend during formation may crack under pressure later. You were learning that maturity includes the ability to adjust without losing your center. My beloved child, Jeremiah once watched a potter working at the wheel. The vessel did not become what was first expected, so the potter reshaped it rather than throwing it away. That image matters. There were plans in your life that did not hold their original form. A relationship changed. A goal no longer fit. A role you once desired began to reveal a cost you had not considered. You called the change failure. I saw the possibility of reshaping. My beloved child, reshaping does not mean your story lost value. It means purpose may continue through a form you did not first imagine. A person can lose one position and still retain their gifts. A relationship can end and still leave wisdom that protects the future. A dream can change without every part of the calling disappearing. The clay remains in the hands of the potter even when the design is being reconsidered. You remain known while your direction was becoming clearer. My beloved child, your capacity was also expanded through responsibility. You learned that love is not only a feeling, it keeps promises when possible. It apologizes without controlling the other person's response. It tells the truth before resentment has years to grow. It respects limits. It notices how private choices affect public trust. Each responsible decision widened your ability to carry influence without harming yourself or others. My beloved child, you asked for more while still learning to care for what was already in your hands. You wanted a wider platform, but I was teaching you how to use words carefully. You wanted greater resources, but you were learning contentment and stewardship. You wanted deeper relationships, but you were learning honesty, boundaries, and repair. You wanted clarity, but you were learning to obey the truth already available. This was not me withholding good things to punish you. It was preparation for responsibility. My beloved child, capacity is not measured only by how much work you can endure. It is also measured by how much truth you can receive without collapsing into shame. How much correction you can hear without turning it into rejection. How much success you can carry without needing to feel superior. How much disappointment you can face without abandoning hope. How much love you can receive without fearing that it must soon be taken away. These inner capacities matter more than appearance. My beloved child, there were times when the wheel seemed to spin without visible progress. You repeated the same lesson. You returned to the same fear. You questioned whether you had changed at all. But repetition can deepen formation. A musician practices the same scale until the movement becomes natural. A gardener waters the same ground before anything appears above the soil. You were practicing honesty, patience, restraint, and return until they became more available under pressure. Hidden repetition was strengthening your response. My beloved child, I was not asking you to become endlessly available to everyone. A larger capacity does not mean carrying every burden. It means knowing what belongs to you and what does not. It means helping without becoming responsible for another person's choices. It means serving without neglecting your health. It means loving without surrendering discernment. It means saying no without believing you have failed to be kind. The vessel is not made stronger by being filled beyond its design. My beloved child, you are still being shaped. Do not demand a finished version of yourself today. There are areas where you remain tender. There are reactions that still need attention. There are boundaries you are learning to hold without anger. There are gifts you are learning to use without seeking approval. Formation continues, but unfinished does not mean abandoned. It means there is still movement, still learning, and still grace available for the next adjustment. My beloved child, notice what has already changed. You recover more honestly after a difficult moment. You recognize certain patterns sooner. You are more willing to ask for help. You are less impressed by promises without consistency. You are learning that peace is not passivity and strength is not hardness. These changes may not look dramatic, but they reveal expanded capacity. The vessel is becoming steadier. The walls are becoming balanced. The foundation is becoming more able to hold what comes next. My beloved child, you were never being prepared merely to receive something impressive. You were being prepared to carry what is good with humility, wisdom, and care. That is the difference between having a blessing and being able to steward it. In the next part, I will show you how this formation prepared you to carry more without losing yourself worshiping the reward or forgetting the people your life is meant to serve. My beloved child, I told you that formation was preparing you for more than receiving something impressive. You were being prepared to carry what is good without losing yourself inside it. You were being taught how to hold responsibility without turning it into pressure, how to hold influence without turning it into pride, and how to hold blessing without forgetting the people your life is meant to serve. My beloved child, many people desire more because they imagine more will finally silence insecurity. They believe recognition will heal rejection. They believe resources will remove every fear. But if an unhealed wound receives greater power, the wound often becomes louder. This is why preparation matters. Not because I enjoy making you wait, because what enters your hands also enters your character. My beloved child, you asked for doors that would allow your gifts to grow. I began teaching you how to remain honest when praise arrived. You asked for deeper relationships. I began showing you where fear made you controlling, silent, or overly accommodating. You asked for greater responsibility. I began teaching you how to keep promises, admit mistakes, and make decisions that considered more than your immediate comfort. You thought the answer would begin outside you. Often it began within you. My beloved child Joseph received responsibility long before he held a public position. He learned to serve faithfully in places that did not look like fulfillment. He faced unfairness, delay, and moments when integrity seemed to cost more than compromise. The process did not make every wrong thing good, but through it he learned how to handle authority without using it only for himself. When influence finally reached him, he had already practiced responsibility in hidden places. My beloved child, this is one reason hidden faithfulness matters. Public responsibility magnifies private patterns. If you ignore truth when no one is watching, greater visibility will not heal that habit. If you need constant approval in a small room, a larger room may deepen the hunger. So I taught you to care about what is unseen. I taught you that character is not a performance for an audience. My beloved child, carrying more also required learning what not to carry. You once believed strength meant accepting every request. You said yes while resentment grew. You tried to rescue people from consequences that belonged to them. You confused love with endless availability. You carried guilt for decisions you did not make and emotions you could not control. That weight did not make you faithful. It made you exhausted. Wisdom began teaching you to separate compassion from responsibility. My beloved child, I did not prepare you to become the answer to every person. I prepared you to become responsible for your own obedience. You can listen without promising what you cannot give. You can care without taking control. You can support someone without allowing their crisis to consume your entire life. You can say no and still remain kind. A person who carries more wisely does not carry everything. They know which burdens are theirs to lift and which must be placed back into my hands. My beloved child, you are also learning how to receive without shame. For years, giving felt safer than receiving. Giving allowed you to remain in control. Receiving required trust. It required admitting need. But stewardship includes receiving with gratitude. You cannot pour forever without being replenished. Even the disciples had to receive bread before they distributed it to the crowd. What flowed through their hands first came into their hands. My beloved child, carrying more means remaining connected to the source. A branch does not produce fruit by straining harder. It remains connected to the vine. The fruit grows from relationship. In the same way, your purpose cannot be sustained by pressure alone. You may accomplish much through fear, but fear will eventually demand more than your body and spirit can give. I am teaching you to work from communion, not panic. To serve from love, not the terror of becoming unnecessary. My beloved child, you have sometimes mistaken exhaustion for devotion. You believed that if you stopped, everything would fall apart. You measured faithfulness by how depleted you became. But a life of service without healthy limits can become another form of self-abandonment. I want your yes to be honest. I want your generosity to come from freedom rather than fear. This is how what you carry becomes sustainable. My beloved child, preparation also taught you how to hold success without making it your identity. There may be seasons when your work is noticed. There may be opportunities that expand your influence. There may be resources that allow you to help more people. Receive these things with gratitude if they come, but do not build your worth on them. What people celebrate today may be forgotten tomorrow. Your belonging must remain deeper than applause. Your identity must remain anchored in love, not visibility. My beloved child, humility does not mean denying your gifts. It means understanding where they came from and why they were given. You do not need to shrink so others remain comfortable. You also do not need to rise by making others feel small. A gift becomes trustworthy when it serves truth, protects dignity, and creates room for others to grow. This is the kind of influence I was forming in you. Not domination, not attention for its own sake. Service with courage, with patience, honesty, and wisdom. My beloved child, you were prepared to carry more influence because you learned that people watch how you respond under pressure, not to demand perfection from you, but because consistency creates trust. When you admit a mistake, repair harm, and remain teachable, you show that authority can be safe. When you listen before reacting, you show that strength can be gentle. When you protect the vulnerable, you show that leadership is not about being above others. It is about accepting responsibility for how your choices affect them. My beloved child, do not be afraid of what may be entrusted to you. You do not have to carry tomorrow, today. You only need to practice faithfulness with what is present. Care for your body, guard your conscience, keep learning, remain accountable. Let gratitude protect you from entitlement. Let humility protect you from pride. Let boundaries protect you from resentment. Let love guide the way you use every gift. My beloved child, this preparation was not creating a flawless person. It was creating a grounded one. A person who can receive without worshiping the reward. A person who can lead without needing control. A person who can serve without disappearing. A person who can grow without forgetting where grace met them. You were prepared to carry more because you were learning how to remain close to me while carrying it. And now another question becomes important. How will you recognize what is truly being placed before you? How will you know whether an inner prompting is wisdom, fear, desire, or my guidance? In the next part, my beloved child, I will teach you how to listen within without treating every feeling as a message from heaven. My beloved child, I asked you how you will recognize what is truly being placed before you. How will you know whether an inner prompting is wisdom, fear, desire, or my guidance? This question matters because not every strong feeling is a message. Not every restless thought is direction. Not every sudden desire is confirmation. And not every moment of uncertainty means you are outside my will, my beloved child. I have created you with an inner life. You notice peace. You notice tension. You sense when something feels honest and when something feels forced. These responses can carry useful information, but they must be examined. A feeling can be real without being reliable. Fear can feel urgent. Desire can feel certain. Loneliness can make a familiar connection feel necessary. Exhaustion can make escape look like wisdom. That is why discernment requires more than intensity. My beloved child, you have often looked for signs outside yourself because they seemed easier to trust. But a sign is not meant to replace relationship, wisdom, or responsibility. My beloved child, I do not ask you to build your life on coincidences. I ask you to know my character. My guidance will not invite you to become dishonest, cruel, reckless, or controlling. It will not require you to ignore the dignity of another person. It will not flatter your pride while silencing your conscience. It will not ask you to call harm holy simply because the outcome is something you desire. If an impression leads you away from truth, love, humility, and responsibility, do not call it my voice. My beloved child, Scripture gives you a boundary for discernment. My spirit does not contradict the truth I have already revealed. This does not mean every decision will have one verse that names it directly. Scripture may not tell you which job to accept, which city to enter, or which conversation to begin. But it teaches you what wisdom looks like. It teaches honesty, patience, justice, mercy, self-control, faithfulness. A path that repeatedly requires the abandonment of these things deserves careful examination. My beloved child, remember Samuel when he first heard his name being called. He did not immediately understand what was happening. He needed the help of Eli to recognize the voice. This matters because spiritual maturity does not mean you never need guidance. Sometimes another person helps you recognize what you are hearing. Wise counsel can slow you down when desire is rushing. It can also encourage you when fear is making every step look dangerous. Humility allows you to ask without surrendering your responsibility to decide. My beloved child, peace is also part of discernment, but peace must be understood honestly. Peace is not always comfort. A necessary conversation may make you nervous. A good opportunity may stretch you. A healthy boundary may cause temporary conflict. You can feel afraid and still be moving in a faithful direction. Peace is often deeper than emotional ease. It is the growing steadiness that comes when you know you are not betraying truth to avoid discomfort. My beloved child, anxiety can imitate urgency. It says, "Decide now, or everything will be lost." It repeats the same frightening possibilities until you can no longer think clearly. When this happens, slow down if the situation allows. Breathe, rest, write down what you know and what you are assuming. Speak with someone trustworthy. If anxiety is persistent or overwhelming, seek appropriate care. Receiving help is not a failure of faith. Your mind and body deserve wise attention. My beloved child, desire can also imitate guidance. You may want something so deeply that every small event appears to confirm it. You notice what supports your hope and dismiss what challenges it. You call inconsistency a test. You call pressure passion. You call confusion mystery. But desire becomes safer when it is brought into open hands. Tell me what you want. Do not pretend indifference. Then ask whether the desire can remain honest if the answer is different from your preference. My beloved child, watch the fruit over time. A prompting that comes from wisdom tends to produce greater honesty, responsibility, patience, and love. It may still involve difficulty, but it does not need repeated deception to survive. A relationship worth trusting grows more consistent. An opportunity worth accepting can withstand reasonable questions. A calling worth following does not require you to neglect every human limit. Fruit takes time. This is why waiting can protect discernment from impulse. My beloved child, you have sometimes expected guidance to arrive as a complete map. You wanted to know how every choice would unfold. But I often give enough light for the next faithful step. A lamp does not illuminate the entire road at once. It shows the ground directly ahead. My beloved child, do not force clarity when it has not yet come. There are moments when waiting is wise. There are also moments when endless waiting becomes avoidance. Ask what is missing. Do you need more information? Do you need courage? Do you need healing before making a major commitment? Do you already know the responsible choice but fear another person's reaction? Discernment is not hiding inside uncertainty forever. It is gathering truth and then moving with humility. My beloved child, learn the difference between conviction and condemnation. Conviction is specific. It shows you what needs to change and invites you toward repair. Condemnation is vague and crushing. It says you are hopeless, dirty, rejected, and beyond grace. My spirit may confront you, but I do not erase your humanity while doing it. I lead you toward truth with a path to return. Shame only tells you to hide. My beloved child, the knowing within your spirit becomes clearer as your life becomes quieter and more honest. Noise can make every voice sound important. Constant scrolling, constant opinions, constant urgency, and constant comparison can drown the gentle work of discernment. Create room for silence, not to chase a dramatic experience, to notice what remains when the noise settles. Pray, read slowly, sit without performing. Let truth become more familiar than pressure. My beloved child, you will not discern perfectly every time. You may mistake fear for caution. You may confuse desire with direction. You may move too quickly or wait too long. When that happens, return. Learn what you missed. Repair what you can. Discernment grows through practice, humility, and relationship. It is not a gift used to prove spiritual superiority. It is a way of walking carefully with love. My beloved child, you are learning to listen within without worshiping every feeling. You are learning to test impressions without becoming cynical. You are learning to move without demanding complete certainty. This is mature faith. It listens, it examines, it seeks wisdom, it watches the fruit, then it takes the next honest step. And now you are ready to understand why some of the quietest seasons mattered so deeply. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how silence may have become a hidden forming season, not proof that you were forgotten, but space where roots, wisdom, and discernment could grow beyond the reach of constant noise. My beloved child, I told you that some of the quietest seasons may have carried a hidden work. You did not always understand the silence. You prayed and heard no clear answer. You waited for direction, but the road remained still. You opened scripture and hoped one sentence would remove every question, yet the question stayed. You watched other people speak about certainty while you felt as though you were standing inside a room where no voice reached you. My beloved child, silence can feel personal. It can make you wonder whether you have been ignored. It can make you review every decision and ask whether you did something wrong. It can make you fear that my attention has moved towards someone more faithful, more disciplined, or easier to guide. But my silence is not proof that my love has disappeared. Your inability to feel my presence does not mean I have abandoned you. My beloved child, I will not tell you that every quiet season was directly arranged by me. Sometimes another person refuses to answer. Sometimes life is simply uncertain. But even in those conditions, I can meet you. I can use the quiet without calling every cause of it holy. My beloved child, the hidden work often began when the usual noise lost its power. You could no longer depend on constant reassurance. You could not keep measuring faith by emotional intensity. You had to ask what remained true when the feeling of certainty was gone. That question led you deeper. You began learning that my character did not change with your mood. You began discovering that obedience could continue without applause. You began finding small practices that held you steady when dramatic experiences were absent. My beloved child, roots grow where no audience can see them. A tree does not announce each movement beneath the soil. It sends itself downward before it can rise safely upward. The deeper work is quiet. It strengthens the place that will later carry visible weight. In the same way, your hidden seasons may have been developing honesty, patience, discernment, and endurance before anyone else could recognize the change. You thought nothing was happening because nothing looked impressive, but inward growth rarely performs for attention. Moses also spent quiet years in the wilderness tending ordinary responsibilities before public leadership. The season did not make him perfect, but it changed how he carried authority limits and care for vulnerable others. My beloved child, your quiet season may also have separated you from identities built on attention. Who are you when no one is confirming the version of you that learned to survive, my beloved child? That question was not meant to erase you. It invited you to discover a deeper identity. You are more than the role you perform in another person's life. When those external voices became quieter, you began hearing the beliefs underneath them. Some were true. Some were wounds wearing the language of identity. My beloved child, silence also revealed which habits had been keeping you distracted from yourself. You reached for noise whenever discomfort appeared. You filled every empty moment with information, entertainment, conversation, or work. Stillness felt dangerous because it allowed unprocessed grief to rise. But slowly you learned that feeling pain was not the same as being destroyed by it. You learned to sit with a question without forcing an immediate answer. You learned to bring discomfort into prayer instead of escaping it automatically. My beloved child, hidden formation included learning how to listen to your body. You noticed the fatigue you had called laziness. You noticed the tension you had normalized. You noticed how certain conversations left you confused, depleted, or afraid. You noticed how your breathing changed when you were about to agree to something that violated your limits. These signals were not perfect guidance, but they carried information. Silence helped you notice what constant motion had covered. My beloved child, quiet seasons can also expose false urgency. When no immediate rescue appears, you begin seeing which desires are rooted in fear. You notice how quickly loneliness tries to choose for you. You notice how impatience turns one option into the only option. You notice how shame demands quick proof that you are still valuable. The silence slows the decision long enough for deeper motives to become visible. What feels like delay can sometimes create room for honesty. My beloved child, do not confuse hidden formation with permanent isolation. You were not made to live without safe community. Silence can become harmful when it turns into secrecy, withdrawal, or refusal to receive help. There were moments when you needed another voice. A counselor, a trusted friend, a wise pastor, a doctor, a family member who could sit with you without controlling you. Allowing support into the quiet did not interrupt spiritual formation. It made the space safer. My beloved child, the hidden season was not evidence that public recognition was guaranteed afterward. Not every quiet year leads to a larger platform. Not every faithful act becomes visible to a crowd. Some formation prepares you to love your family more patiently. Some prepares you to make one healthier decision. Some prepares you to stop repeating a harmful pattern. Some prepares you to serve quietly with greater wisdom. The value of growth is not measured only by how many people eventually notice it. My beloved child, what mattered was that the silence changed the way you listened. You became less impressed by noise. You became more willing to test what sounded spiritual. You learned to notice consistency instead of intensity. You learned that a loud promise can still be empty and a quiet truth can carry great weight. You learned that my guidance does not need manipulation to be convincing. It can remain gentle and still lead you toward responsibility. My beloved child, you may still be in a quiet season now. Do not force meaning onto every unanswered question. Do not invent a prophecy to escape uncertainty. Stay honest, keep praying, keep learning, keep receiving wise care, keep doing the faithful work already in your hands. Let the silence become spacious rather than empty. Let it make room for truth, grief, rest, and renewed attention. You do not need to prove that hidden growth is happening every day. Remain available to it. My beloved child, something has been forming in the way you carry yourself. You are less willing to abandon truth for approval. You are more aware of your limits. You are learning to use your voice without using it to control. You are becoming more responsible for the effect your choices have on others. The quiet did not make you superior. It made you more prepared to serve with steadiness. And this is where the next part begins. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how hidden formation can lead into responsible authority, not power over others, but self-mastery, stewardship, courage, and service shaped by love. My beloved child, I told you that hidden formation was preparing you for responsible authority, not authority that places you above others, not authority that gives you permission to control, intimidate, or demand attention. I am speaking about the authority to govern your own reactions, protect what has been entrusted to you, tell the truth with courage, and serve without losing humility. My beloved child, you have spent enough time believing that power must always look loud. You have seen people confuse influence with importance. You have watched confidence become arrogance and leadership become control. But my way is different. The strongest person in the room is not always the one who speaks first. Sometimes it is the one who can remain calm enough to listen, honest enough to admit a mistake, and secure enough to protect another person's dignity. My beloved child, responsible authority begins within. It begins when anger no longer decides every word. It begins when fear no longer controls every choice. It begins when shame no longer makes you disappear. It begins when approval no longer becomes the price of belonging. You are learning to notice what rises inside you before it becomes an action. You are learning to pause, to pray, to ask what love, truth, and responsibility require. That pause is not weakness, it is self-mastery. My beloved child, consider the way I led my disciples. I did not build authority by making them feel small. I washed their feet. I corrected them when pride divided them. I welcomed questions. I confronted hypocrisy. I protected the vulnerable. I showed them that leadership in my kingdom does not begin with a throne. It begins with a towel, a basin, and the willingness to serve. If your authority cannot kneel, it is not yet safe to rise. My beloved child, this does not mean you must become passive. Servant leadership is not silent agreement with everything. Love can confront, love can say no, love can remove access when trust is repeatedly violated. Love can name injustice without becoming cruel. You are not called to keep peace by pretending nothing is wrong. You are called to become a person who can face what is wrong without becoming what wounded you. That requires strength. My beloved child, responsible authority also changes the way you carry your voice. You once remained silent because you feared conflict. At other times you spoke from accumulated resentment and called it honesty. Now you are learning another way. Speak before bitterness has years to grow. Speak clearly without humiliating. Ask questions before making accusations. Name the boundary without attacking the person's worth. Your voice becomes more trustworthy when truth and compassion remain together. My beloved child, I am also teaching you stewardship. Everything in your hands carries responsibility. Your time, your body, your words, your resources, your relationships, your gifts, your influence, whether 10 people know your name or no audience ever sees you. Stewardship asks, how can this be used faithfully? It does not ask only, how much can I gain? It remembers that what benefits you can also affect everyone connected to your choices. My beloved child, you asked for more influence. I began teaching you how to use the influence you already had. The younger person who watches how you respond, the family member affected by your tone, the friend who trusts your advice, the coworker who depends on your integrity. Authority often begins in ordinary rooms. Before anyone follows your public words, people experience your private character. This is why hidden formation mattered. It prepared your life to support your message. My beloved child, responsible authority may also require breaking patterns that have traveled through your family for years. Perhaps anger was treated as strength. Perhaps silence was used as punishment. Perhaps no one apologized. Perhaps pain was hidden until it became another generation's burden. You cannot rewrite everything that came before you, but you can choose what continues through you. You can ask for help. You can learn healthier language. You can refuse to pass untreated wounds into the hands of those who come after you. My beloved child, breaking a pattern is rarely dramatic at first. It may look like ending an argument before cruelty begins. It may look like telling a child I was wrong. It may look like refusing to mock vulnerability. It may look like creating a home where questions are safe. It may look like seeking counseling when pride says you should handle everything alone. These choices may never be celebrated publicly, but they change the atmosphere around you. That is authority used for healing. My beloved child, do not confuse responsibility with carrying everyone. You are not the ruler of another person's life. You cannot force healing. You cannot control whether someone accepts truth. You cannot rescue everyone from the consequences of their decisions. Responsible authority knows where your stewardship ends. You can offer wisdom. You can set a boundary. You can create safety. You can pray. Then you must release what belongs to another person's will. Control is not care. My beloved child, humility protects authority from corruption. Remain teachable. Invite accountability. Listen when a trustworthy person notices something you cannot see. Do not surround yourself only with voices that agree. The moment you believe correction is beneath you, influence becomes dangerous. Even mature leaders need counsel. Even gifted people need limits. Even good intentions need examination. Humility does not weaken your authority. It keeps your authority connected to truth. My beloved child, responsible authority also means protecting those with less power. Notice who is being ignored. Notice who cannot speak safely. Notice when your comfort depends on another person's silence. Use your position to create fairness, not favoritism. Use your voice to make room, not to occupy every space. I did not entrust strength to you so you could be admired. Strength becomes sacred when it shelters, restores, and serves. My beloved child, perhaps this language feels larger than your life. You may not lead a company, a ministry, or a crowd. That does not make this message less relevant. You lead every time your choices influence another person. You lead when you choose honesty in your home. You lead when you refuse gossip. You lead when you keep a promise. You lead when you remain calm enough to repair after conflict. Authority is not a title. It is the weight your character can carry without harming others. My beloved child, rise with me into this kind of authority. Rise without pride. Rise without apology for becoming healthier. Rise without needing everyone to understand your growth. Let your strength become steady. Let your wisdom remain teachable. Let your boundaries protect love instead of replacing it. Let your influence point toward truth rather than toward yourself. This is the authority I can trust. And now, my beloved child, you must understand another part of growth. As your character changes, some relationships may also change. In the next part, I will show you how some people were part of a season, how to honor what was real without forcing every connection to continue, and how to release without bitterness or superiority. My beloved child, I told you that as your character changes, some relationships may also change. You have shared memories with people who once understood a version of you that no longer fits. You have depended on voices that helped you survive a difficult season. You have loved people and discovered that the connection could not continue in the same form. My beloved child, not every ending means someone was evil. Not every distance means you failed. Not every friendship that changes was false. Some people walk beside you for a chapter. They help you cross a bridge. They teach you something about trust, courage, forgiveness, or boundaries. Then life changes, responsibilities shift, values become clearer, and the relationship must be understood differently. My beloved child, I do not want you to rewrite every good memory simply because the ending hurt. Honor what was real. Honor the laughter. Honor the support. Honor the season when that person helped you carry something heavy. Gratitude does not require you to deny what became unhealthy later. It allows you to remember with honesty, instead of turning the whole story into either betrayal or perfection. My beloved child, some connections ended because both people grew in different directions. The rhythm simply changed. One person entered a new responsibility. Another needed a different kind of community. Priorities shifted. Communication became less frequent. A quiet ending can hurt because there is no single moment to blame. You may mourn what was without needing to accuse anyone. My beloved child, other relationships changed because patterns became impossible to ignore. Perhaps one person continually avoided you. Perhaps you discovered that the connection depended on you remaining silent, useful, or easy to control. When truth entered the room, the relationship could not remain comfortable in the old way. That does not always mean repair is impossible, but repair requires honesty from both sides. My beloved child, reconciliation is not the same as returning to the previous pattern. An apology can begin healing, but trust often needs time, consistency, and changed behavior. Forgiveness can free your heart without restoring immediate access. You can release revenge and still maintain distance. You can wish someone well and still recognize that closeness is no longer wise. Love does not require you to ignore what repeated experience has revealed. My beloved child, there were also relationships where you needed to examine your own part. Growth is not only noticing what others did wrong. Perhaps you withdrew instead of speaking honestly. Perhaps fear made you assume rejection before asking a question. Perhaps you expected another person to understand needs you never expressed. Perhaps you used silence as punishment. Perhaps you became defensive when correction touched a tender place. Accountability does not erase what others did. It keeps you from carrying the same pattern into the next connection. My beloved child, Paul and Barnabas once disagreed about how to continue their work. Their partnership changed. Scripture does not ask you to pretend the disagreement never mattered. It shows that faithful people can reach a painful division and still continue serving in different directions. Not every separation proves that one person has lost all value. Sometimes the next step requires space, reflection, and a new arrangement. My beloved child, do not use spiritual language to avoid grief. Saying that someone was only seasonal does not remove the ache. You may still miss the voice, the routine, the shared plans, and the version of yourself that existed near them. Grief deserves patience. Let yourself acknowledge what changed. Write what you never had the opportunity to say. Pray honestly. Speak with someone safe. Do not rush into another connection simply to silence the emptiness. My beloved child, loneliness can make old doors appear safer than they were. You remember the comfort and forget the confusion. You remember the apology and forget the repeated pattern. You remember the good days and minimize the cost of staying. Memory often softens pain when the present feels empty. Before returning, ask what has actually changed. Ask whether the connection now supports truth, dignity, responsibility, and peace. Do not let loneliness make the decision alone. My beloved child, some people were part of your healing, but they were never meant to become your entire support system. You placed too much weight on one relationship. You expected one person to understand every layer, calm every fear, confirm every decision, and remain available whenever you felt uncertain. No human connection can carry the place that belongs to me, wise community, and your own growing responsibility. A healthy life needs more than one source of support. My beloved child, releasing a relationship can also reveal who you are without that person's approval. You may have shaped your choices around their reactions. You may have measured your progress by whether they understood it. When distance came, you felt as though part of your identity disappeared. But you are not only who you were beside them, you are still learning, still loved, still capable of building honest connections. An ending can create space to hear your own convictions more clearly. My beloved child, do not turn growth into superiority. You are not more valuable because another person could not continue with you. Do not say they were too small for your calling. Do not treat every disagreement as proof that they could not handle your light. Sometimes you were simply incompatible. Sometimes both people carried wounds. Sometimes wisdom required distance without assigning spiritual rank. Humility allows you to release someone without needing to stand above them. My beloved child, there may also be relationships worth repairing. Do not close every door because boundaries feel easier than vulnerability. Ask whether safety can be rebuilt. Ask whether both people can listen. Ask whether responsibility is being accepted. Ask whether change is becoming visible over time. Some connections need an ending. Others need a new conversation, clearer expectations, and patient repair. Discernment helps you know the difference. My beloved child, you are learning to honor people without clinging to every former version of the relationship. You can bless what was good. You can grieve what ended. You can learn from what became painful. You can apologize where needed. You can hold a boundary without hatred. You can walk forward without pretending the past meant nothing. This is emotional and spiritual maturity. My beloved child, some people were part of a season, and that season still mattered. They may have helped you cross a river they were not meant to cross with you. They may have shown you a strength you had not recognized. They may have revealed a wound that needed healing. They may have taught you what healthy love requires by showing you both what nourishes and what harms. Carry the lesson without carrying bitterness. And now, my beloved child, you are ready to understand what happens after certain connections, habits, and environments are released. In the next part, I will show you how pruning can make room for better alignment without teaching you to call every loss my will or every closed door a guarantee of something greater. My beloved child, I told you that releasing certain connections can create room for better alignment, but understand pruning with wisdom. Do not call every loss my decision or every closed door a promise of something greater. People make choices. Opportunities change. Relationships end because trust was damaged, communication failed, or both people grew differently. Even when I did not cause the loss, I could meet you within it and help you decide what should continue. My beloved child, pruning begins with honest attention. A gardener studies before cutting. Is the branch healthy? Is it blocking light or drawing strength from healthier growth? In the same way, alignment requires examination. What is helping you become more truthful, responsible, peaceful, and loving? What is repeatedly pulling you toward confusion, resentment, dishonesty, or self-abandonment? My beloved child, some things need to be released because they once served a purpose but no longer support the life you are building. A habit that helped you survive may now keep you emotionally numb. A role that gave you identity may now require you to ignore your limits. A friendship may have mattered, yet its old pattern cannot continue. An ambition may now be consuming your health and relationships. Releasing does not mean the whole past was worthless. It means you are becoming honest about what the present requires. My beloved child, I once spoke about branches that are pruned so they can bear healthier fruit. That image is not permission to treat people as disposable. It is an invitation to notice what prevents love, truth, and responsibility from growing. Sometimes pruning means ending access. Sometimes it means changing expectations. Sometimes it means reducing noise. Sometimes it means removing one commitment so you can care faithfully for another. Sometimes it means letting an old dream become smaller so your life can become more whole. My beloved child, pruning can feel like reduction. You look at the empty space and assume something has gone wrong. Your schedule is less crowded. Your circle is smaller. The plan you once defended no longer seems honest. Emptiness can feel like failure because you were taught to measure progress by accumulation. More contacts, more activity, more approval. But alignment is not always about adding. Sometimes it begins when you stop carrying what was never meant to define you. My beloved child, there were commitments you kept only because you feared disappointing others. You said yes before checking whether you had the strength, time, or peace to follow through. Then resentment grew and your attention divided. Pruning taught you to pause, ask what the commitment required, and consider whether your yes would remain honest after the moment passed. A smaller number of truthful commitments can produce more faithful fruit than a crowded life built on guilt. My beloved child, you also needed to prune the voices shaping your mind. You absorbed opinions from people who did not know your story. You compared your pace with lives edited for public view. Constant noise made your convictions difficult to hear. So you began choosing more carefully what entered your attention. You stepped back from conversations that fed contempt. You limited information that kept your nervous system unsettled. You made room for prayer, scripture-wise counsel, and ordinary silence. My beloved child, pruning does not mean avoiding every uncomfortable voice. Correction can hurt because it touches pride. Alignment is not surrounding yourself only with agreement. It is learning the difference between humiliation and a voice that helps you become honest. Do not remove everyone who challenges you. Ask whether the challenge is grounded in truth, respect, accountability, and care. A healthy branch still needs support, direction, and careful correction. My beloved child, there were also expectations that needed to be cut back. You believed healing should be quick progress, visible, and faithful people, never uncertain. You believed one apology should restore everything and love should make boundaries unnecessary. These expectations placed weight on your life that truth never asked you to carry. Pruning them did not reduce your faith. It made your faith more honest. You began accepting that growth can be slow, trust can require time, and love can remain present while limits are maintained. My beloved child, better alignment also required examining what you were chasing. Was the goal rooted in purpose or in the need to prove someone wrong? Was the relationship rooted in mutual care or in fear of being alone? Was the opportunity consistent with your values, or were you willing to compromise because you wanted recognition? Was the service flowing from love, or were you using usefulness to avoid your own needs? These questions came to free your energy from directions that could not support peace. My beloved child, do not rush to fill every space pruning creates. An empty place can become a workshop for discernment. Let silence show what you actually miss. Do you miss the person or the validation they provided? Do you miss the role or the identity it gave you? Do you miss the activity or the escape from stillness? Do you miss the dream or the feeling that achieving it would finally prove your worth? Wait long enough for the deeper answer. My beloved child, alignment is not a perfect emotional state. You may grieve what you release, question the boundary, or feel lonely after leaving a familiar pattern. Do not use discomfort alone as evidence that the decision was wrong. Watch the fruit over time. Healthy alignment usually becomes clearer through consistency, not through one emotional day alone. Are you becoming more honest? Is your body less constantly tense? Can you think more clearly? Are you able to love without disappearing? Does the new space allow responsibility, rest, prayer, and healthy connection to grow? My beloved child, some things may need repair rather than removal. Before ending what can be healed, ask whether truthful conversation is possible. Responsibility is mutual. Behavior is changing, and both people respect new boundaries. Pruning is not an excuse to avoid vulnerability. Sometimes better alignment comes through rebuilding the connection in a healthier form. Other times the most honest choice is distance. Wisdom learns to recognize the difference. My beloved child, What remains after pruning matters. Your values, your conscience, your capacity to love, your responsibility to care for what has been entrusted to you. Do not measure the season only by what disappeared. Notice what has become clearer. Notice the energy returning. Notice the relationships that feel safer. Notice the work you can now complete with greater attention. Notice the quiet strength growing where constant pressure once lived. My beloved child, pruning was not making you less valuable. It was helping your life become less divided. You were learning to place your time, love, and energy where they could produce faithful fruit. And as the noise decreased, something else became visible. The quiet choices you had been making for years. The integrity no one applauded, the prayers no one heard, the service no one recorded. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how heaven saw your quiet faithfulness, even when no public reward appeared and no human voice recognized the cost. My beloved child, I told you that as the noise decreased, your quiet choices became easier to see. The integrity no one applauded, the prayers no one heard, the service no one recorded, the moments when you chose truth, even though no one would have known if you had taken the easier path. My beloved child, I saw them. I saw the kindness you offered when you were tired. I saw the restraint you practiced when anger wanted control. I saw the responsibility you carried when no one thanked you. I saw the ordinary faithfulness that never became a story. You thought it did not count. It counted. My beloved child, the world often notices what is visible and impressive. It notices the platform, the result, the announcement, and the applause. But much of a faithful life is built in rooms where no audience gathers. It is built in the kitchen after everyone else has gone to sleep. It is built in the car before a difficult conversation. It is built in the quiet decision to keep your word when breaking it would be easier. Character is formed long before it is recognized. My beloved child, this does not mean every hidden act will later become public. I will not promise that every sacrifice will receive human praise. Some prayers will remain known only to me. Some service will never be mentioned. Some good choices will simply protect a relationship, steady a home, or keep your conscience clear. Their value does not depend on becoming visible. A seed can nourish the soil even when no one watches it disappear beneath the ground. My beloved child, remember the widow who placed a very small offering into the treasury. Others gave more, but I saw the cost behind her gift. I was not impressed by appearance alone. I noticed trust, sacrifice, and the heart beneath the action. In the same way, I see beyond the size of what you do. I see what it costs. I see what you could have chosen instead. I see the love, fear, fatigue, and courage carried inside one quiet yes. My beloved child, there were seasons when you served while feeling unseen. You showed up, you prepared, you listened. You cared for people who did not understand its cost. You may have wondered whether your effort mattered. Sometimes your service was received carelessly. Sometimes another person assumed you would be available. Sometimes your generosity was treated as an obligation instead of a gift. Those experiences hurt, and they also taught you that faithfulness needs boundaries. My beloved child, quiet faithfulness is not endless self-neglect. It is not staying where abuse continues. It is not allowing others to consume your strength while calling exhaustion holiness. Faithfulness includes telling the truth about your limits. It includes resting. It includes asking for help. It includes saying no when another yes would become dishonest. You do not honor me by disappearing inside service. I want your obedience, not your destruction. My beloved child, some of your most faithful moments looked like stopping. You stopped the argument before cruelty entered. You stopped giving advice when listening was what love required. You stopped pretending you were fine and asked someone to sit with you. You stopped returning to a pattern that always left you ashamed and confused. These choices may not have looked heroic, but heaven does not measure courage only by movement. Sometimes courage is the refusal to repeat what once felt automatic. My beloved child, I also saw the prayers that felt unfinished. The words broke apart, the tears interrupted. You began with certainty and ended with questions. You thought a strong prayer needed perfect language, but I heard the sigh. I heard the silence. I understood the need beneath the sentence. Prayer is not a performance graded by eloquence. It is relationship. It is turning toward me with what is true. My beloved child, your quiet faithfulness also appeared in the way you returned after failure. You apologized. You repaired what you could. You admitted when pride had shaped your reaction. You returned to the responsibility you had neglected. You did not always return quickly, but you returned honestly. That mattered. Faithfulness is not never falling. It is refusing to make hiding your permanent home. Grace teaches you to come back into truth and continue walking. My beloved child, there were days when comparison made your ordinary life feel small. You saw someone else receive recognition and wondered why your own work remained hidden. You saw faster progress, larger numbers, louder testimonies, and more visible opportunities. Then you questioned whether your quiet obedience had any value. But comparison cannot measure the cost of another person's path or the purpose of yours. Your task is not to imitate another person. It is to become faithful with what is actually in your hands. My beloved child, hidden faithfulness protects you from worshiping the reward. When no applause comes, your motive is revealed. Are you serving because love is present, or only because recognition is possible? Are you telling the truth because truth matters, or because honesty will improve your image? These questions are uncomfortable, but they purify intention. They teach you to act from conviction instead of negotiating with the audience. My beloved child, this does not mean it is wrong to desire encouragement. You are human. Kind words matter. Recognition can strengthen a tired heart. Communities should notice service and express gratitude. But when appreciation is absent, you can bring the ache to me without allowing resentment to define the work. You can also ask whether the environment is healthy. Faithfulness does not forbid honest conversation about being overlooked. My beloved child, what happened in secret formed trustworthiness. You learned to keep promises without supervision. You learned to care for details no one else considered important. You learned to choose integrity when shortcuts were available. You learned to remain teachable when correction arrived without applause. These habits prepared you to handle influence more safely if influence comes. And if no large platform ever comes, they still make your relationships work and service more trustworthy. My beloved child, quiet faithfulness has already produced fruit. It has made your conscience clearer. It has made your love more patient. It has made your boundaries more honest. It has made your service less dependent on approval. It has taught you that a meaningful life is often built through repeated acts that never become dramatic. You do not need a crowd to confirm that truth. My beloved child, I saw the hidden years. I saw what you carried. I saw what you refused to become. I saw the times you chose worship over resentment, repair over pride, and patience over impulse. Nothing about that was wasted. Not because public reward is guaranteed, because every faithful choice shaped the person you are becoming and touched lives near you. And now you are ready to see how faithfulness can reach beyond one season. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how the choices made quietly today can become a healthier legacy for the people, families, and communities who come after you. My beloved child, I told you that the quiet choices you make today can reach farther than you can see. They can shape a home. They can steady a friendship. They can teach a child what honesty looks like. They can help a wounded person believe that gentleness is still possible. This is how faithfulness can become a legacy, not always through fame, not always through wealth. Sometimes legacy is simply the healthier pattern that continues because you chose not to repeat what harmed you. My beloved child, you inherited more than traditions. You inherited ways of speaking, reacting, hiding, trusting, and surviving. Some of those patterns carried wisdom, others carried fear. You did not choose everything handed to you, but you can choose what continues through you. That choice matters. My beloved child, perhaps anger moved through your family like weather no one questioned. You may recognize these patterns without condemning everyone who came before you. Many people pass forward what they had never been taught to heal. My beloved child, compassion for the past does not require repeating it. You can honor your family and still choose a different way. You can understand why someone became guarded and still refuse to use silence as punishment. You can recognize how hardship shaped them and still learn to speak with kindness. You can be grateful for what they gave while honestly naming what caused harm. Maturity can hold gratitude and truth together. My beloved child Timothy carried a sincere faith that had also lived in his grandmother Lois and his mother Eunice. Their faith did not remove every struggle from his life, It gave him a foundation. It showed him that belief could be practiced and carried across generations. In the same way, what you practice consistently may give someone else permission to live differently. They may learn courage because they watched you tell the truth with love. They may learn repair because they heard you apologize. My beloved child, legacy is built through repeated ordinary moments. A child watches whether you keep your word. A friend notices whether you listen after making a mistake. A younger person remembers whether you treated their questions with respect. A family learns whether conflict always ends in fear or can end in understanding. You may think these moments are too small to matter, but repeated experiences become expectations. Expectations become patterns. Patterns become part of what people carry into their own relationships. My beloved child, this is why your healing is not only personal. When you learn to regulate anger, someone else experiences more safety. When you set a healthy boundary, you teach that love does not require self-abandonment. When you seek counseling, you challenge the belief that pain must remain hidden. When you rest without shame, you show that worth is not measured only by productivity. Your choices create an atmosphere. Others may breathe differently because you chose to become more honest. My beloved child, do not turn legacy into another pressure to be perfect. You will still make mistakes. You may still raise your voice, withdraw, forget, overpromise, or react from an old wound. Legacy is not built by never failing. It is built by what you do after failure. Do you deny? Do you blame? Do you hide? Or do you return, admit the truth, make repair, and practice a better response? A sincere apology can interrupt a pattern that survived for years. My beloved child, some of you may not have children. Your life can still carry generational influence. You may serve in a community with consistency. You may write, teach, build care, encourage, or live with integrity that gives another person courage. Legacy is not limited to bloodlines. It moves through every life your choices touch. My beloved child, you may also need to grieve the legacy you did not receive. Perhaps no one taught you how to name feelings. Perhaps you were expected to be strong before you were ready. Perhaps faith was presented through fear rather than love. Perhaps money, affection, or approval became tools of control. You cannot pretend that absence did not shape you. Bring that grief to me. Let it become information, not destiny. What you lacked can help you recognize what others need. My beloved child, be careful not to build your legacy from revenge. Do not spend your life trying to prove that everyone who underestimated you was wrong. That goal may create achievement, but it rarely creates peace. Build from love, build from truth. Build from the desire to leave people more whole, not more impressed. Let success become a tool for service rather than evidence that your worth has finally been established. You were worthy of love before anyone celebrated your work. My beloved child, financial provision can become part of stewardship, but money alone is not legacy. A large inheritance cannot replace wisdom, character, or emotional safety. If resources come into your hands, use them responsibly. Plan. Avoid using money to control closeness. Teach those who come after you how to work, share, save, and remain generous without worshiping abundance. What you model around resources may matter more than the amount you leave behind. My beloved child, faithfulness becomes legacy when it is practiced long enough to become culture, not a speech given once, not a promise made during emotion, a way of living repeated until people know what to expect near you. Truth, respect, accountability, compassion, boundaries, prayer, rest, service. These values become the language of a home, friendship, team, or community when someone chooses them consistently. My beloved child, you are not responsible for controlling the future. Those who come after you will make their own choices. They may understand your example differently than you intended. Your responsibility is not to guarantee their path. It is to live faithfully in yours. Plant what is healthy. Teach what is true. Repair what you damage. Then release the outcome without believing everything depends on you. My beloved child, notice how far you have already come. You are questioning patterns that once felt normal. You are learning language your family may never have used. You are becoming more comfortable with apology, boundaries, rest, and honest support. You are refusing to call fear, respect, or control love. This is legacy beginning in real time. It may not look dramatic, but a new future often begins with one person choosing a different response in an ordinary room. My beloved child, your faithfulness can become a bridge between what wounded the past and what may heal the future. You do not erase where you came from. You carry forward the wisdom. You release what caused harm. You add what was missing. You allow grace to become visible through the way you live with others. And now, another movement must begin. You have spent seasons being called out of fear, harmful patterns, false identities, and relationships that kept you small. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you that I did not call you out merely to leave you empty. I called you out so I could call you into truth, purpose, responsibility, and a new way of living. My beloved child, I told you that I did not call you out merely to leave you empty. I called you out of fear so you could learn trust. I called you out of harmful patterns so you could practice healthier ones. I called you out of false identities so you could remember who you are in my love. I called you out of relationships and environments that kept you small so you could enter a life shaped by truth, responsibility, peace, and purpose. My beloved child, I called you into honesty. Not the kind of honesty used to wound people, but the kind that refuses to hide what needs healing. I called you into conversations where you name what is true before resentment becomes your language. I called you into prayer where you no longer perform strength. I called you into relationships where questions are safe, boundaries are respected, and love does not depend on silence. Truth is not merely something you believe, it becomes the way you live. My beloved child, I called you into peace. Not a passive peace that avoids every conflict. Not a fragile peace that disappears whenever someone disagrees with you. I am teaching you the peace that can remain present while you make a difficult decision, speak a necessary boundary, or admit that one chapter has ended. This peace does not require every circumstance to become easy. It grows as your inner life becomes anchored in what is true. My beloved child, I called you into responsibility. You once waited for another person to change before you allowed yourself to grow. You waited for an apology before beginning to heal. You waited for perfect certainty before taking one faithful step. But responsibility asks, what is yours to do now? You cannot control another person's honesty. You can control whether you remain honest. You cannot force reconciliation. You can decide whether your own words are truthful, respectful, and clear. You cannot rewrite the past. You can choose what pattern continues through you. My beloved child, I called you into purpose, but purpose is not always a platform. Sometimes purpose looks like raising a child with greater emotional safety than you received. Sometimes it looks like doing ordinary work with integrity. Sometimes it looks like becoming the first person in your family to ask for help. Sometimes it looks like creating a home where fear is not used as discipline. Purpose is not measured only by how many people know your name. It is measured by whether love, truth, and responsibility become more visible through your life. My beloved child, Israel was called out of Egypt, but leaving Egypt did not instantly remove Egypt from their thinking. The wilderness revealed fears, habits, and expectations that freedom had not yet healed. They wanted safety, but sometimes they reached backward toward what was familiar. You have done this too. You left what harmed you, then felt drawn back because the familiar can feel safer than the unknown. Do not condemn yourself. Learn from the pull. Freedom requires new practices, not only a new location. My beloved child, I am teaching you a new language. You have spoken the language of lack. There is never enough. I will always be behind. Everyone leaves. Nothing good lasts. You learned those sentences through disappointment, and they became automatic. But they are not the only words available to you. You can say, I have needs, but I am learning to ask for help. I have been hurt, but I am not required to repeat the wound. I do not know the whole future, but I can choose what is faithful today. My beloved child, this new language is not empty positive thinking. It does not deny bills, grief, conflict, or uncertainty. It tells the truth without allowing fear to become the only interpreter. It says, this is difficult, but difficulty is not the whole story. It says, I feel afraid, but fear does not have to make the decision. It says, I need rest, and rest does not mean I have lost purpose. Truth gives your mind another road to travel. My beloved child, I am also calling you into a different relationship with work. You have learned to hustle because slowing down made you feel unsafe. You believed your worth depended on producing, fixing, proving, and staying useful. But I am teaching you to work from belonging rather than for belonging. This does not mean becoming careless. It means your effort no longer has to answer the question of whether you deserve love. Work can become service. Rest can become trust. Limits can become wisdom. My beloved child, I called you into community, not isolation. Growth may require distance from some people, but it should not make you suspicious of everyone. You still need safe relationships. You need people who can celebrate without flattering, correct, without controlling, listen, without rushing, and remain honest, without using your vulnerability against you. Do not let one betrayal convince you that connection itself is dangerous. Ask for discernment, then allow trustworthy love to become part of your healing. My beloved child, I called you into courage. Courage does not always roar. Sometimes it sends the honest message. Sometimes it makes the appointment. Sometimes it admits that the current path is no longer healthy. Sometimes it stays in the room long enough to listen. Sometimes it leaves when safety, dignity, or truth are continually violated. Courage is not one dramatic act. It is a pattern of choosing what is right while fear is still present. My beloved child, you may be tempted to romanticize the new season. You may imagine that once you step into purpose, uncertainty will disappear, but growth continues. New responsibilities reveal new areas that need formation. Healthy relationships may expose old fears because safety feels unfamiliar. Opportunities may require skills you have not yet developed. Do not interpret every challenge as proof that you chose wrongly. Ask what the season is teaching you and what support you need. My beloved child, I am not calling you into a life where you never struggle. I am calling you into a life where struggle no longer decides your identity. I am calling you into a life where you can return more quickly, repair more honestly, rest more freely, and love without abandoning wisdom. I am calling you into a life where your past becomes information, not a prison. My beloved child, look at what is already beginning. You are noticing fear before it becomes a decision. You are recognizing when guilt is trying to control your yes. You are becoming more willing to ask whether a path supports truth, health, responsibility, and love. This is not emptiness. This is entrance. You are not only leaving what was harmful, you are learning how to inhabit what is whole. And now, my beloved child, the next work must reach even deeper. A new life cannot rest safely on every old belief. In the next part, I will show you how your inner foundation is being rebuilt, how distorted beliefs are being examined, and how truth is creating a stronger place for the future to stand. My beloved child, I told you that a new life cannot rest safely on every old belief. You are stepping toward truth, purpose, responsibility, and peace. But some parts of your inner world were built during fear. Some conclusions were formed while you were wounded. Some promises you made to yourself were not born from wisdom. They were born from survival. So now the foundation must be examined, not to shame you, not to erase your story, to make room for what can carry the future with greater strength. My beloved child, you learned certain beliefs because they helped you feel protected. You said, I will never need anyone again. You said, I must stay useful, or I will be forgotten. You said, if I slow down, everything will fall apart. You said, if I trust, I will be hurt. Those sentences became hidden beams beneath your decisions. They quietly influenced how you loved, worked, rested, and faced uncertainty. My beloved child, what once protected you may now be limiting you. A shelter can become a prison when fear refuses to let you leave. The wall that kept disappointment away may also keep tenderness outside. This is why rebuilding can feel unsettling. When an old defense is removed, you may feel exposed before you feel free. My beloved child, do not mistake that discomfort for failure. A house under repair may look unstable while damaged beams are examined and reinforced. But exposure is not destruction when truth and compassion guide the process. It is the beginning of honest restoration. My beloved child, I am examining the beliefs beneath your reactions. When someone becomes distant, why do you immediately assume you are unwanted? When correction arrives, why does it sound like rejection? When rest becomes necessary, why do you call yourself lazy? When another person succeeds, why do you fear there will be nothing left for you? These reactions carry history. But history does not have to remain your ruler. My beloved child, remember the wise builder who placed a house upon rock. The storm revealed whether the foundation could hold. A foundation built on approval will shake when people misunderstand you. A foundation built on performance will shake when your body becomes tired. A foundation built on control will shake when life remains uncertain. I am teaching you to build deeper. My beloved child, truth is becoming a new beam beneath your thinking. You are learning that your worth does not rise and fall with productivity. You are learning that another person's reaction does not define your decision. You are learning that needing help does not erase strength. You are learning that boundaries can protect love. You are learning that grief can stand beside faith. Each truth replaces something fear once used to hold the structure together. My beloved child, some of the rebuilding involves vows made in pain. Perhaps you promised never to forgive because forgiveness felt like surrender. Perhaps you promised never to speak honestly because honesty once brought punishment. Perhaps you promised to prove everyone wrong, and that promise exhausted you. But pain should not write the permanent blueprint for your life. Bring those promises into the light. Ask whether they still serve truth. My beloved child, forgiveness does not require returning to danger. Honesty does not require telling every person everything. Rest does not mean abandoning responsibility. Releasing the need to prove yourself does not mean losing ambition. The new foundation is not built through extremes. It is built through wisdom. It allows strength and tenderness to stand together. It allows courage and caution to speak to each other. It creates room for both responsibility and human limits. My beloved child, your capacity for trust is also being rebuilt. Trust may not return all at once. That is not a failure. A damaged bridge is not repaired by pretending it was never damaged. It is inspected. Weak supports are replaced. Weight is added gradually. Let another person's consistency reveal whether trust is becoming safe. You can remain open without becoming careless. You can move slowly without closing your heart forever. My beloved child, shame made every mistake feel like proof of your identity. Shame says you failed, therefore failure is who you are. Truth says you failed and you can face it, repair, and learn. Shame hides damage behind walls. Grace turns on the light and begins the work. You are not rebuilt by pretending you have no cracks. You are rebuilt by allowing honesty, accountability, and mercy to enter them. My beloved child, rebuilding redirects your energy. Fear directed you toward pleasing, proving, predicting, and protecting. You spent strength preparing for rejection before it happened. You rehearsed conversations that never occurred. You tried to control outcomes that did not belong to you. Now that energy can be redirected toward meaningful work, healthy relationships, prayer, rest, and today's responsibility. My beloved child, there were wells within you that disappointment had filled with debris. Hope, creativity, and curiosity became difficult to reach. The water was still there, but the path to it had become blocked. Healing has been clearing those wells slowly. One honest conversation, one safe relationship, one boundary, one restful night, one healthier choice. These moments make room for life to flow again. My beloved child, do not rush this renovation. You may understand a truth before your body feels safe enough to live it. You may know you are loved while still fearing abandonment. You may believe rest is good while guilt remains loud. Knowledge often arrives before practiced trust. Be patient with the distance between understanding and embodiment. My beloved child, rebuilding teaches you to recognize safety. Peace may feel unfamiliar after long vigilance. Do not reject it because it feels quiet. Let kindness clear boundaries and community show your heart that safety can be real. Continue repeating what is true. Continue choosing healthy support. Let new experiences teach your body that the present is not always the past. My beloved child, you are not being rebuilt into someone without weakness. You are becoming someone whose weakness no longer has to remain hidden. You are not becoming someone who controls every outcome. You are becoming someone who can remain grounded when control is impossible. You are not becoming untouchable. You are becoming more honest, more supported, and more able to recover when life hurts. That is a stronger foundation. My beloved child, notice what is changing beneath the surface. You pause before assuming rejection. You question the voice of shame. You recover more quickly after disappointment. You ask whether your decisions align with truth, instead of only asking whether they reduce anxiety. You are making room for a future that does not need the old structure of fear. And now, my beloved child, you are ready for the next question. How will you recognize when preparation begins becoming movement? How will you know when waiting has given you what it needed to teach, and the next faithful step is already standing before you? In the next part, I will show you how to recognize the arrival without forcing a promise, inventing a sign, or overlooking what has already been placed in your hands. My beloved child, I asked how you will recognize when preparation begins becoming movement. How will you know when waiting has taught what it needed to teach, and the next faithful step is already before you? This matters because you have spent so long expecting delay that movement can feel unfamiliar. You learned how to endure. You learned how to survive uncertainty. But there comes a time when patience must become participation, a time when prayer must be joined by action, a time when enough light appears for you to step forward. My beloved child, arrival does not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it looks like clarity where confusion once lived. Sometimes it looks like courage returning after fear. Sometimes it looks like a conversation becoming possible. Sometimes it looks like a responsibility you are finally ready to accept. You may miss these beginnings if you are waiting only for something spectacular. The new season may first appear as one honest choice that the former version of you could not make. My beloved child, you have often believed arrival must feel exciting, but some arrivals feel quiet. A healthy relationship may feel less intense than the unstable connection you once called love. Do not reject what is healthy because chaos trained you to recognize only intensity. Peace can feel unfamiliar when your nervous system has lived in constant alert. My beloved child, remember the people of Israel approaching the Jordan. The priests stepped toward the water, carrying what had been entrusted to them, and the way became clear as obedience moved forward. This does not mean you should rush into every uncertain path. It means clarity can increase after the first responsible step. You gather wisdom, you examine the fruit, you pray, then you move with humility, instead of demanding that every risk be removed beforehand. My beloved child, arrival can be recognized by what has changed within you. The same situation that once controlled you no longer carries the same power. You can face uncertainty without reaching immediately for an unhealthy escape. You can say no without hours of guilt. These changes may be evidence that preparation has become readiness. The opportunity outside you may matter, but the capacity within you matters just as much. My beloved child, arrival also appears when responsibility becomes clearer. You once asked for a larger purpose while ignoring the work already near you. Now you notice what is actually in your hands. A family lover needs an honest conversation. A gift needs disciplined practice. A damaged relationship needs either repair or a clear boundary. Your body needs care. Your faith needs consistent space. The next season may begin through faithful stewardship of what is present, not through escape into what is imagined. My beloved child, do not mistake impatience for arrival. Impatience says, I have waited long enough, so any movement must be right. It wants relief more than truth. It becomes willing to ignore warning signs because standing still feels unbearable. Arrival does not require you to silence wisdom. It does not demand that you betray your conscience to prove your faith. What is healthy may ask courage from you, but it will not require dishonesty to remain possible. My beloved child, do not mistake fear for a closed door either. You may feel nervous because growth is asking you to become visible. You may hesitate because responsibility is real. You may miss the certainty of the old pattern even when the old pattern was harmful. Fear does not automatically mean stop. Ask what the fear is protecting. Is it protecting wisdom or protecting avoidance? Is it warning you about danger or reminding you of an old wound that no longer defines the present? My beloved child, look for consistent fruit. Does this direction support honesty? Does it deepen responsibility? Does it allow love and boundaries to remain together? Does it invite wise community rather than secrecy? Does it strengthen your ability to serve without losing yourself? A path aligned with truth may still be difficult, but it should not require your inner life to become divided. You should not need to become less honest in order to stay on it. My beloved child, arrival can also look like release. You stop waiting for the apology that may never come. You stop demanding that one person understand you before you begin healing. You stop defining the future by one opportunity that ended. This release does not mean the loss no longer matters. It means the loss no longer controls every direction. The moment you walk without carrying the old demand, a new kind of movement begins. My beloved child, sometimes the answer is not a new circumstance, but a new ability to recognize what has already been offered. Support was present, but pride kept you from receiving it. A healthy opportunity was available, but it did not match the image you had created. Peace was growing, but you called it boredom because you were accustomed to conflict. Arrival sometimes requires a new vision, not a new object. You begin seeing value where fear once saw limitation. My beloved child, this is why gratitude helps you recognize movement. Gratitude does not deny what is missing. It trains your attention to notice what has begun. A clearer boundary, a calmer response, a trustworthy person, a prayer becoming more honest. These are not small when they represent a new way of living. Do not overlook transformation because it arrives without applause. My beloved child, if an opportunity opens, you do not need to call it a guaranteed promise before entering. Call it an opportunity. Examine it. Prepare well. Ask for counsel. Take responsibility for your choice. Faith does not require exaggeration. You can move forward while still saying, I am learning. You can accept a door without claiming to know every outcome behind it. This humility keeps hope grounded and protects you from turning desire into prophecy. My beloved child, perhaps you are still waiting in some areas. Do not force arrival where clarity has not come. Continue the faithful work. Seek help. Rest when exhaustion is distorting your judgment. But do not use unfinished questions as an excuse to ignore what is already clear. There may be one conversation to begin one habit, to change one application, to submit one apology to offer, or one boundary to hold. Movement often begins smaller than expectation. My beloved child, you are learning to recognize arrival as readiness meeting opportunity. Not perfection, not complete certainty. You have enough truth to take the next step, enough humility to receive correction, enough strength to remain honest, enough wisdom to move without abandoning discernment. This is how waiting becomes movement without becoming recklessness. And now you are ready to understand why this recognition took time. The calling was not always absent. Sometimes your identity had not yet grown strong enough to receive it without shrinking, striving, or turning it into proof of your worth. In the next part, my beloved child, I will show you how your identity had to catch up with calling and how grace has been teaching you to stand inside purpose without bowing to shame. My beloved child, I told you that the calling was not always absent. Sometimes your identity had not yet grown strong enough to receive it without shrinking, striving, or turning it into proof of your worth. You wanted purpose, but part of you still believed purpose had to rescue you from shame. You wanted influence, but part of you feared that being unseen meant being unimportant. You wanted responsibility, but part of you still confused usefulness with belonging. So grace began strengthening the person who would carry the calling. My beloved child, identity is the place from which you interpret everything. If you believe you are unwanted, even love can look suspicious. If you believe you are behind another person's progress, can feel like a verdict. If you believe your worth depends on achievement, every opportunity becomes a test of whether you deserve to exist. Calling becomes heavy when identity is unstable. You begin carrying purpose like a courtroom case, always trying to prove that your life matters. My beloved child, I never asked you to use purpose as evidence that you are lovable. You were loved before the assignment. You belonged before the platform. You were known before anyone recognized your gift. Calling does not create your value. It gives your value a direction through which love can serve others. This is why I kept bringing you back to grace. Without grace, purpose becomes pressure. With grace, purpose becomes stewardship. My beloved child, Gideon once described himself through limitation. He saw the smallest family, the weakest place, and the reasons he could not be the person being addressed. But I did not begin by flattering him into greatness. I met him inside fear. I gave him steps. I allowed growth to happen through obedience, questions, and dependence. His story reminds you that calling can be real, while confidence is still learning how to stand. My beloved child, you have also spoken from old names. Too late, too damaged, too ordinary, too inconsistent. You repeated these names until they sounded like facts. Some came from words people spoke over you. Some came from experiences you never processed. Some came from conclusions formed during disappointment. But pain does not have the authority to name you permanently. A wound can explain why you struggle without becoming the final definition of who you are. My beloved child, identity catching up with calling does not mean becoming impressed with yourself. It means becoming less controlled by distorted views of yourself. Healthy confidence does not say I am greater than everyone. It says I can accept responsibility without pretending I have nothing to offer. It says I can use my gifts without apologizing for their existence. It says I can remain teachable without treating every correction as proof that I am a fraud. My beloved child, shame made you bow inward. It made you hide when you needed support. It made you reject encouragement because receiving it felt dishonest. It made you overwork so no one would discover your insecurity. It made you speak harshly to yourself before anyone else had the opportunity. Shame promised protection from rejection, but it created rejection inside your own heart. Grace began teaching you to stand differently. My beloved child, standing does not mean denying what needs repair. You can acknowledge weakness without building an identity around it. You can admit that you harm someone without deciding you are incapable of love. You can recognize a pattern without declaring that change is impossible. You can receive forgiveness without minimizing consequences. A secure identity can face truth because truth no longer threatens its right to belong. My beloved child, calling requires this shift. If you enter purpose needing everyone to confirm you, criticism will control you. If you enter service needing to be indispensable, you will struggle to share responsibility. If you enter leadership needing superiority, you will use people to support an image. But when identity rests in grace, you can listen, delegate, apologize, and celebrate another person's gift. You no longer need every room to revolve around you. My beloved child, your identity also needed freedom from scarcity. You believed another person's opportunity reduced what was possible for you. You compared pace, recognition, relationships, and resources. Comparison kept your attention divided. You could not fully care for what was in your hands because you were measuring it against what was in someone else's. Grace called you back. Your responsibility is not their road. Your responsibility is the truth, gift, and opportunity present in your own life. My beloved child, identity catching up with calling also means accepting limits. You are not called to do everything. You are not gifted for every role. You cannot meet every need. Limits do not make your calling smaller. They give it shape. A river becomes useful because banks direct its movement. Without boundaries, water spreads thin and loses force. In the same way, your no can protect the yes that truly belongs to you. My beloved child, you are learning to recognize your voice without making it the only voice that matters. You can speak with conviction and still listen. You can trust what you have learned and still seek counsel. You can accept an assignment and still ask for help. You can carry responsibility without pretending certainty about every detail. This is confidence with humility. It is strong enough to move and soft enough to be corrected. My beloved child, I have been teaching you to see calling as service. The gift is not a crown proving that you are special. It is a tool placed in your hands for the good of others. Your story can comfort. Your skill can solve a problem. Your leadership can create safety. Your resources can support what is healthy. Your voice can name truth. The purpose is not to make you larger than people. It is to make love more visible through you. My beloved child, this is why your identity had to deepen. You needed to know that applause could not add to your belonging and criticism could not erase it. You needed to know that a closed door could change your assignment without destroying your worth. You needed to know that rest did not cancel calling. You needed to know that another person's misunderstanding did not require you to abandon what was true. These truths made your inner life steadier. My beloved child, you are not becoming the person I love. You already are loved. You are becoming more able to live from that love. You are learning to enter purpose without begging it to save you. You are learning to carry gifts without worshiping them. You are learning to serve without disappearing and lead without controlling. This is identity catching up with calling. And now, my beloved child, you are ready to understand how one faithful decision can reach farther than the moment in which it was made. In the next part, I will show you how your costly yes created a ripple, not as a magical guarantee of reward, but as a choice whose courage, integrity, and influence continued moving through lives, relationships, and opportunities you could not immediately see. My beloved child, I told you that one faithful decision can reach farther than the moment in which it was made. You may remember a time when saying yes cost you comfort. You chose honesty, when silence would have been easier. My beloved child, obedience is not a bargain you make with me. It is not a coin placed into heaven so that a larger reward must fall back into your hands. You do not purchase favor by suffering. You do not earn love by proving how much pain you can endure. Your yes matters because it aligns your life with truth, and truth creates consequences. My beloved child, think of a stone placed into still water. The stone disappears beneath the surface, but circles continue moving outward. Your faithful choice can work like that. You may not see every life it touches. A child may remember the day you admitted you were wrong. A friend may find courage because you spoke honestly about getting help. A coworker may choose integrity because they watched you refuse a dishonest shortcut. Your example can travel farther than your explanation. My beloved child Ruth made a costly choice when she remained loyal to Naomi and entered an uncertain future. She did not receive a complete map. She did not know every outcome. It was an act of love, loyalty, and courage. Her yes mattered because it expressed character before she could see what would follow. My beloved child, your costly yes may also have changed what became possible within you. Before the decision, fear had always spoken first. Afterward, you discovered that fear could be present without becoming your ruler. You learned that discomfort did not destroy you. You learned that honesty might cost approval, but self-betrayal carried a deeper cost. My beloved child, there were choices that interrupted patterns older than you. You refused to answer anger with greater anger. You sought counseling instead of hiding pain. You stopped using silence to punish. You chose to listen before defending yourself. These decisions may have felt ordinary, but they changed the emotional atmosphere around you. They showed that conflict could lead toward repair rather than fear. This is how one faithful response can influence a family. My beloved child, not every ripple becomes visible quickly. You may do what is right and still face misunderstanding. You may tell the truth and lose access to a relationship. You may work with integrity and watch someone else advance faster. Faithfulness does not guarantee immediate recognition, but the absence of applause does not erase the effect of your choice. At minimum, your conscience becomes clearer and your character becomes more trustworthy. My beloved child, some ripples are protective. One boundary can prevent years of resentment. One honest conversation can stop confusion from becoming a permanent pattern. One decision to rest can keep exhaustion from turning into harm. One refusal to participate in gossip can protect another person's dignity. You may never know every consequence that did not occur because you chose differently. My beloved child, some ripples invite other people to become honest. When you stop pretending, another person may feel permission to tell the truth. When you acknowledge weakness without shame, someone else may seek support. When you lead with humility, people around you no longer need to hide every mistake. Your courage can create emotional room. One healthy choice proves that another way is still possible. My beloved child, your yes may also require repeated yeses. One courageous decision does not complete the work. A boundary needs consistency. An apology needs changed behavior. A calling needs practice. A healthy relationship needs daily honesty. The first yes begins movement. The next yes gives that movement direction. This is why faithfulness is more than one emotional moment. It becomes a pattern carried through ordinary days. My beloved child, there were times when you expected obedience to make the road easier. Instead, it made the next responsibility clearer. You said yes to healing, then had to face memories you had avoided. You said yes to honesty, then had to accept another person's response. You said yes to purpose, then had to learn discipline. You said yes to love, then had to practice patience and boundaries. The ripple carried you into deeper responsibility, not instant comfort. My beloved child, this is not punishment. Growth often reveals the next layer. A person who begins repairing a house may discover damage hidden behind the wall. The discovery does not mean the repair was a mistake. It means truth is making deeper restoration possible. Your first yes exposed what the next yes needed to address. Grace remained present through each layer. My beloved child, do not become proud of your obedience. You were supported by mercy, community, wisdom, and strength you did not create alone. Remember the people who encouraged you. Remember the truth that steadied you. Remember the times you needed another person to carry hope for you. Humility keeps the ripple clean. It prevents one faithful act from becoming a reason to stand above someone still struggling. My beloved child, do not become trapped by regret over the yeses you did not give. There were moments when fear won. There were opportunities you avoided. There were truths you delayed. Face them honestly, but do not build a permanent home there. You can begin with the truth already available today. A delayed yes can still become a sincere yes. A return can still change the direction of what comes next. My beloved child, the ripple may continue through opportunities you cannot predict. A skill practiced quietly may later serve someone in need. A healed pattern may change the way you lead. A boundary may create space for a healthier relationship. A story told with wisdom may help another person feel less alone. You do not need to control the reach. You need to remain faithful with the influence already present. My beloved child, this is how your life becomes testimony. Not because every struggle ends dramatically. Not because every prayer receives the answer you imagined. Your life becomes testimony when grace changes the way you respond. When pain does not make you cruel. When failure leads to return. When fear no longer has the final word. When love becomes more responsible, more honest, and more free. My beloved child, your costly yes created a ripple because it changed what you were willing to carry forward. It changed the language of your home. It changed the pattern of your relationships. It changed how you viewed yourself. It changed what another person believed was possible. That is not magic. That is influence. That is the quiet power of a life becoming aligned with truth. And now, my beloved child, you are ready for the final movement. You have listened. You have returned. You have been formed. You have learned to recognize what is true and to carry responsibility with humility. In the final part, I will show you how to become the answer and walk forward, not as someone who has finished growing, but as someone willing to carry grace, wisdom, courage, and love into the life already waiting before you. My beloved child, I told you that you have listened, returned, been formed, and learned to carry responsibility with humility. Now the final movement begins. You are not being sent forward as someone who has finished growing. You are being sent as someone who knows how to return when fear speaks, how to pause when pressure rises, and how to choose truth when the easier path offers relief without peace. My beloved child, becoming the answer does not mean becoming perfect. It means allowing what you have received to become visible through the way you live. You asked for kindness. Now practice kindness where irritation once ruled. You asked for honesty. Now speak truth without cruelty. You asked for healing. Now stop handing old wounds the authority to control every new relationship. You asked for guidance. Now take the faithful step clear before you. My beloved child, you waited for a sign that your life mattered. You thought the answer would arrive as recognition, a dramatic opportunity, or a sudden change no one could deny. But sometimes the answer begins more quietly. It begins when you become the safe person you once needed. It begins when you listen without rushing to fix. It begins when you apologize without defending yourself. It begins when your homework and relationships become places where truth and dignity can breathe. My beloved child, this is commission, not a title, not a crown, not proof that you stand above anyone. Commission is the responsibility to carry love into the places your life already touches. It is using your voice to protect rather than dominate. It is using your experience to comfort rather than impress. It is using your strength to create room for others rather than making yourself the center. My beloved child, remember how I sent the man who had been restored back to his own community. He wanted to remain near me, but I told him to return and tell what mercy had done. His testimony was not a performance. It was a life changed enough to become evidence that another future was possible. You also carry a story. Not a story of flawless faith. A story of grace meeting you repeatedly and teaching you how to stand again. My beloved child, your tears do not need to become entertainment. Your scars do not need to be displayed to prove that you healed. Share with wisdom. Protect what is still tender. Speak when your story can serve rather than when pain is demanding attention. A testimony becomes trustworthy when it honors truth boundaries and the dignity of everyone involved. You do not owe every person access to every part of your journey. Walk forward without rehearsing defeat. You have practiced expecting the worst because disappointment once surprised you. You believed pessimism would protect you, but fear cannot prepare you for every possible loss. It only steals peace from the present. You can move with wisdom without predicting disaster. You can examine risk without worshiping it. You can remain cautious and still remain open to what is good. My beloved child, walk forward without apologizing for healthy growth. Some people may prefer the version of you who never said no. Some may misunderstand your boundaries. Some may call your peace distance because they were accustomed to your over-explaining. Listen humbly to correction, but do not return to self-abandonment simply to keep another person comfortable. Growth may change the way people experience you. Let truth, not guilt, guide the adjustment. My beloved child, walk forward with rest. You do not need to chase every opportunity. You do not need to prove that preparation was real by filling every hour. Some doors deserve a careful no. Some invitations are distractions wearing the language of importance. Some seasons require slower work, deeper roots, and more attention to home health and relationship. Rest keeps your yes honest. It helps you recognize what truly belongs to you. My beloved child, walk forward with compassion for the person you used to be. That former version of you made decisions with the understanding available then. Some choices caused harm and must be faced, but hatred for your past self will not create wisdom. Learn, repair, grieve, then release the need to punish yourself forever. Grace does not deny accountability. It prevents accountability from becoming a lifelong sentence of shame. My beloved child, there will be difficult days again. A familiar fear may return, an old wound may become tender, a person may disappoint you, a plan may change. Do not interpret every hard day as proof that nothing changed. Growth is revealed by how you respond when the old pressure returns. Pause, tell the truth, seek support, rest before making final conclusions. Return to me without waiting to feel worthy. My beloved child, let this be your prayer. Lord, keep my heart soft and my judgment clear. Help me serve without disappearing, lead without controlling, and speak without wounding. Teach me to recognize what is mine to carry and what must be released. Give me courage for the next faithful step and humility to receive correction along the way. Let my life make love, truth, and mercy easier for others to recognize. My beloved child, I hear you. My love for you is not held together by performance. It does not increase when you succeed or disappear when you struggle. You are mine in the quiet. You are mine while learning. You are mine when you return with empty hands and honest words. Belonging is the ground beneath the calling. Grace is the beginning, the strength for the journey, and the welcome that remains when you come home. My beloved child, become the answer by becoming present. Present to the person in front of you. Present to the responsibility in your hands. Present to the truth within your conscience. Present to the limits of your body. Present to my voice through scripture, prayer, wise counsel, and the fruit your choices produce. You do not need to save the whole world. You need to live faithfully where your feet are placed. My beloved child, look at the road behind you. You were seen in the silence. Grace met the whole you. Hope remained. Battles revealed what needed healing. The potter reshaped without discarding you. Capacity grew. Discernment deepened. Relationships changed. Pruning created space. Faithfulness formed legacy. Identity caught up with calling. Your costly yes created a ripple. Now carry those lessons forward. My beloved child, this message is ending, but your conversation with me is not. Stay after the sound fades. Ask what needs to be practiced today. Then take one step. Not from panic, not to prove anything. From love. If these words helped you feel seen, share this message with someone who is carrying hidden weight. Subscribe so this community can continue offering truth, hope, and encouragement. Now breathe. Open your hands. Lift your head. Walk forward with wisdom, courage, humility, and peace. You are not walking alone. I am with you in the next honest step. And when you lose your way, return. My beloved child, go now. Become the answer love has been forming within you. Amen.